So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminsky Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast live show. We have an amazing guest today. Today's topic of conversation is how to handle self-doubt when building your personal brand. I had met this individual through a bunch of different people. Honestly, we have a network online that we all sort of work through. And his name kept popping up, and finally he reached out on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is perfect timing." I want to introduce you to John Marrone. This guy specializes in personal growth and personal development. And I said, we got to have you on the show today because when we're talking about self-doubt, why not have an expert like you come in and help us work through it and help us get to where we want to be? So John, welcome to the show, my man.
What is going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm excited to have you on, man. Fellow Jersey boy.
Yeah.
Super excited to dive into your backstory. So let's take 5 minutes real quick and introduce you to the audience. Let them know sort of why you're doing what you're doing today and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I appreciate the opportunity to add value to your audience. So one thing I would suggest, guys, get a pen and paper handy because there's going to be a lot of gold nuggets that myself and even you are going to be able to drop. And I want them to be able to take the information and create implementation. But let's kind of rewind here. Who is John Marrone, right? And see, I believe that we are not human beings or human becoming. So who I am today is going to be different than who I am going to become tomorrow and the next day. But the backstory starts with growing up. It always felt like we'd be rich on Friday and poor on Monday. And that mainly was because of bad decisions that were made. My parents are great people who made bad decisions. And I'm sure a lot of people out there could really feel that and understand that. And maybe they grew up that way as well. Well, around the age of 13 and 14, those bad decisions weren't just my family's bad decisions. They were my bad decisions. I started truly getting into drugs and selling drugs at a really young age. And I think I was just trying to find my way, right? I mean, I hung out with the jocks because I played sports. I hung out with the musicians because I was a singer in a band. I hung out with every group you could think of. And that was all because I was trying to find this acceptance, this label. Well, when I started fighting and I started doing drugs and I started selling drugs and having parties, a label got slapped on me. Oh man, it's John Marrone. Man, he has great parties. Man, if you need something, you can get to him. Hey man, you know what? Fighting, you better go with him if you need some backup. And so I accepted that label because that's all I was looking for at a young age was this acceptance, this love. And unfortunately, that label got me into a lot of trouble. And it led to me doing even more drugs and falling out of sports. And then fighting every single weekend where unfortunately put me in jail. And I was sitting in jail and I get out and I'm on house arrest. And you think things will get better when you're sitting there and you went to jail. Before that, I was living in my car. Before that, I was, couch hopping. But no, I get in and I'm living in a motel and there I go. Back to the self-destruction mode, right? Back to, man, how can I go ahead and feed that need of acceptance even more? And how can I self-destruct even more? Now, remind you, this is a subconscious thing. I didn't do it intentionally, right? I wanted my life to be better, but subconsciously I wasn't aware and didn't have the tools enough to change it. But fortunately, I met a great woman who actually on MySpace, who is now my wife, and she showed me what true love and acceptance is. Now, even through that, I still try to screw that up, right? I still try to self-destruct and blow up everything around me. Then I met a great Christian man named Pat Neccarado, and he ran a sales and marketing firm. And he said, John, I'm going to show you how to make a lot of money, but I want to give you a few other things that I need you to commit to. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And he said, John, the first thing I need you to do is realize that the life you're living is not the life that you're supposed to live. There's more out there for you. And I'm going to show you some things that I want you to implement into your life. I said, absolutely. He said, secondly, I want you to go ahead and give this value back to others and change others' lives as well. And I said, sure. But here's the thing, Henry. I only did it because of one thing. Not because I cared about adding value at that time. Not because I cared about changing my life. I did it because I led with such an income first mentality. He told me all this stuff was going to bring me money. I signed the dotted line. And so by doing that, I started making incremental changes, but nothing crazy. I stopped doing the drugs. I still, would want to fight, but I didn't fight as much. And then it all changed in October of 2012. And you're from Jersey. I'm from Jersey. Hurricane Sandy paid us a visit. And I lived on a barrier islands in Toms River, New Jersey. And so I was surrounded by water. And now, mind you, before this, my wife and I, then girlfriend, we lived in a very small apartment. It's talking about 500 square foot apartments, motels. And we finally got our first house. Yeah, we rented it, but it was our first house. So we get all this brand new furniture. We move in beginning October. We're excited. And Hurricane Sandy pays us to visit. And they came around and said, you don't have to leave. And I said, okay, I'm not leaving. Right? Selfish John Marrone shows back up again. And I'm not leaving. I got this. Nothing bad's going to happen. I've been through drugs. I've been through jail. Nothing bad's going to happen. And I remember going outside, Henry, and it was about 7:30 at night. And the wind was whipping. But there was no rain. And I was like, okay, just a crazy windstorm. Nothing bad. And I go in and we're playing Monopoly, and it's me, my girlfriend, now wife, and then I have our dog, and my mom, and my dad's dog, and my parents are there because I got them from their motel. And I heard this noise I'll never forget, and this visualization always pops in my mind. It was a stream of water. I heard it, and I saw it trickling through our living room. And I looked. I said, how is there a stream of water in our living room? We were just outside an hour ago. And so I get up and I walk through the stream of water, and as I open the door, 5 feet of water, roaring rapids, boats flipped over, docks smashed into the house. There's debris everywhere. The water's rainbow color because all the oil spilled over from the boats. And then within minutes, it all of a sudden rushed through the foundation and cracked the foundation, and it started funneling in the house and flooding through. And so in that moment, you would think, let's get everybody upstairs. It's a first level, then upstairs is the attic. But nope, John Marrone, selfish and stubborn, Italian and Jersey, those combination, shows up and he says, no, we got to put the furniture up. We got to put the furniture up first because that means more than our life. But that's just the way I was wired back then. And so I get them upstairs, I put the furniture up, and then I'm sitting in the attic. And I remember sitting there, and the water's rising rung by rung, and the roof is about to collapse from the tree, and it's compressing. And this is when a lot of it changed for me, Henry. I remember looking at my family, and I remember looking down, and I remember hearing the thump of the tree. And I said words that I never used in this vocabulary. And I said, if I get out of here, I will make an impact on my life and in others' life. I will make an impact. And I will lead impact first, income second. And so I remember getting down about 24 hours later. We got rescued. I'm sitting in a shelter, but where it all changed is sitting there in that shelter and saying, I said I was going to keep this promise to myself. I said I was going to make a change. I said I was going to put a footprint and change this legacy of my last name, but I just don't know how. Just don't know how. There it was. Admitting I don't know what I don't know was the biggest opportunity to grow. Letting go of my ego was the biggest opportunity to grow. And from that moment, I just started asking better questions. And I started asking more people more questions about how they overcame certain situations. What are they doing to have a better integrated life? How are they building businesses? And for the last decade, I've spent my life interviewing the best minds in the world. I spent my life dedicated to my personal growth and going from motel and almost dying and self-destruction to now standing on stages with people like Ed Milet and Trent Shelton and Eric Thomas as a keynote speaker. I have my coaching company. I have my Power Progression podcast. And I do what I do because I want to give the most incredible and most powerful word in a human vocabulary to everybody out there, which is there is hope.
Yeah.
from where you're at today to where you want to go. And I want to provide the actionable tools to do so. And, it's been a beautiful transition and transformation, but man, this is a process. And I want everybody to know that wherever you're at today and where you think you want to go, you can go even beyond that, because I'm standing beyond where I thought I can go. And now I'm excited for that next version of me.
Man, what a beautiful story, dude. What a beautiful story. I mean, Hurricane Sandy rang my bell too. It took out two of my biggest clients back then, which accounted for about $250,000 a year in revenue. And when they built back up, it was Henry, sorry, we're doing all this in-house now. We're not going to hire you no more. That was $250,000 just ripped from me in overnight. And I couldn't make that back. I couldn't figure out how to make that back. And it put me in a tailspin, man, that I didn't think I was ever going to get out. And which brings me to the topic today is of self-doubt. There was a lot of things running through my head at that moment. Like, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm a failure. Why am I even doing this anymore? Maybe I should just go get a job. I'm thinking about all the people right now currently during this COVID situation that got laid off, right? They might have had a side hustle. They might have had some ideas of a coaching program or some sort of consulting that they wanted to do. And now that they're laid off, that's a strike to the ego. That's a strike to your self-worth. That's a strike, through a lot of things personally that may be putting people in tailspins. I was just on a show yesterday on LinkedIn, and a guy said, man, what you're saying is resonating with me because I just got laid off, and honestly, I don't know which way to go. I'm stuck right now. I'm paralyzed. Yeah. And so, John, I can feel you when you were going through that experience. There had to have been self-doubt creeping in, like, man, we are literally starting from rock bottom. How the hell am I going to get to speaking on stage with Ed Milet, and I saw you with Tony Robbins, like, right? Like, how the hell do you go from living in a motel to that and handling all of that self-doubt along the way?
Yeah, man. And the first thing is, you can either walk in fear or walk in faith, right? You can either walk in fear or walk in faith. And during this time, guys, I get, like, if there is a struggle you are going through, realize it's that struggle that can create the strength for success. And that's what I use. I use my struggle, right, as that strength for success. And see, whenever you think of an obstacle, maybe it's a coronavirus right now, or maybe it's something that's happening with your brand, wherever you feel that obstacle, you need to change that perspective and look at it as an opportunity. Because there is so much opportunity within every single obstacle. But if you don't ignite, if you don't activate your superpower, which is perspective, you'll get lost in that tailspin, right? And you'll continue to do so. So the faster you could change perspective of your current situation and stop being the victim. Look, I know what it's like to be the victim. It's very easy to be the victim. Our mind wants us to be the victim. And that's why it's our job to beat these old limiting beliefs and this old conditioning. And we have to go ahead and rewire and recalibrate our mind to realize that these obstacles can be a huge benefit. Man, I remember I used to go ahead and when I used to talk about Hurricane Sandy, I don't know if you can curse on this show, but I used to call it a bitch, right? This bitch Hurricane Sandy would showed up in my life. And what I realized is that bitch Hurricane Sandy saved my life. It didn't ruin my life. And now if I learned that faster, I would have been able to catapult off of that perspective into a different realm way quicker. And so anybody out there that's struggling wherever you're at and you see an obstacle, activate your superpower, which is perspective, and ask where can you find opportunity within it. If you guys are laid off, look, you've been complaining and you don't have enough time for I don't know how long that you can't start this business because I don't have time, John. I can't write that book. I don't have time, John. I can't spend more time with my family. I don't have time, John. Look, the universe just gave you time. Yeah. And it's how you engage in it, it's how you participate in it that makes time valuable, not when it just sits there. Yeah. My question to you is, universe gave you time. What are you going to do with it? And the fear that you have, John, okay, I got the time, but I'm scared to go forward. Right? You've heard it before. Face everything and rise, or F everything and run. Like walk within faith. You have to walk in faith and not fear, and understand that there's a curriculum to success. And it's simple: adversity and failure. If you sign the paper right now to sign up for adversity and failure and getting to it faster, to learn faster, you'll be good. You're going to fail way more times than you'll ever succeed. You will. But it's those failures, that's a process of elimination to get to where you want to go. So look at failure as nothing but a process of elimination. So I want you to find failure faster, which means you got to take action faster. And so self-doubt only creeps in when we sit with the old thinking. So I want to break this down for a lot of people because, man, self-doubt, this is what usually happens, right? Our brain is like a pendulum. So when we think about the future, which, by the way, the future is nothing but a made-up concept that takes you away from the abundance and the joy of right now. I'll repeat that. The future is nothing but a made-up concept that truly takes you away from the abundance and the joy of the present moment. But so when we look at the future, right, pendulum, we're like, okay, can I go ahead and make this much money? Can I go ahead and buy those houses and cars? Can I create that life? What your mind does, it goes, hey, past, is that true? Can I do that? And the past is like, no. You can't do that. Remember, you were screwed up. Remember all the mistakes you've made? Oh, remember your family? Remember where you came from? Remember, nobody knows you. Then you go, no, future, I can't do that. So you sit here in this crippled, in this frozen moment, doing nothing. And so what we need to do, instead of pendulum swinging all day, right, 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 80 to 90% of them are the same thoughts. Instead of saying, future, is this real? Past, tell me if this is real. You won't know what the future is, but you stay in the present moment and you take one step at a time. You asked me how I got from motel to Tony Robbins, motel to living the way I live and having the opportunity in my coaching company and everything else. How'd I do it? One step at a time, one play at a time, not one drive at a time, one play at a time. Yeah. Knowing what I want the end result to be. Don't get that twisted. You know, and you need to know what the end result that you want, but you need to be committed to the journey, not committed to the path that you think it's going to take you, right? You need to be committed to the journey, not the plan, because the plan is going to change, and success happens outside of a perfect plan, right? I think it was Mike Tyson, right? Everybody has a plan to get punched in the mouth, but it's real. Like that's how I got from where I was to where I am currently, and that's how I'm going to get from where I'm at to where I'm going.
Yeah, there's so much truth to that. I remember, like, people see where I'm at right now with my business and they think that it happened in a couple of years, right? This is 13 years in the making, and I still feel there's so much more to do. There's so much more to refine. There's so much more to make better. And you do it one step at a time. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from feedback. You learn from, getting punted in the face. I'll tell you a funny story. When I'm working with a brand accelerator client right now who I'm helping them build their back end processes and system on a platform so that when they facilitate their coaching, they feel more confident about it. And then their client feels more confident about it because now they have a step-by-step system. And so I could tell my client was getting a little uneasy and a little not irritated, but like, get me out of this cage. This is like nails to a chalkboard to me. And I went through the same feeling when my coach was bringing me through that whole system and processes thing. And I remember just, oh my God, this is nauseating. This is so annoying. Until I saw it play out in real life. When I didn't have my processes in place and my systems in place, and I would get overwhelmed with client, everything would crumble. Yeah. Because there wasn't a strong foundation. And there was a lot when things would crumble, a lot of self-doubt would come in. Like, What are you doing? Why should you be doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. You don't deserve to be here. Look what you just did. You made a mess. Now you got to clean it up. It was like it brought me back to my kid days. And then I realized, man, this is what I should be focusing in on. So my client says to me, what made you do this for your business? I see the value. You've proven it. But what made you do this for your business? And I said, a lot of mistakes that could have easily been eliminated or avoided had I had this stuff in place. I don't want to see you make this mistake. This is why I'm bringing you through this. Yes, I know it's tedious. Yes, I know you want to pluck your eyelashes out one by one, but we have to go through this, because I promise you, when you get busy and you start to feel the pressure, that this system, this foundation is going to push that all away, and you're not going to go through that self-doubt. You're going to be like, wow, I got this. Look at this vehicle that Henry helped me build to get me through these storms. And I feel like you've been able to do that, building one step of your business at a time to get it to where it's at today. So as we start to wrap up here a little bit, I do want to encourage anybody that has some question in Q&A that for John to drop it in the comments below. And we'll field those questions towards the end of the show. My question for you is, in your opinion, through your perspective, through your lens, how important is personal branding and really focusing in on investing in yourself and in your business and growth? What does it mean to you in 2020, July 15th?
To me, branding is making somebody feel a certain way, right? That's the way I look at it. So when I hear about 2020, or whether it's 2021, 2019, it hasn't changed, right? It's all about how can you make somebody feel when they think about your brand? How can you make them feel? Because we are emotionally driven creatures. Because we're emotionally driven creatures, we have to set our brand up to drive an emotion for them to take action. Pain or pleasure. The only reason why people make decisions, right? And so when I think about branding and I think about how do I create this emotion and how do I create this personal development, it's simple, man. Most people think their brand is the problem. Most people think that their systems are the problem, right? Or the results are the problem. What's really the problem is them. They don't have a money problem. They have a them problem. And let me elaborate a little bit more. So literally everything is an extension from you. You are the source. People say that money doesn't grow on trees. Nah, you are the tree, and every branch is an extension of your business, of your health, of your relationship, of your spirituality. You are the tree. So when your parents told you money don't grow on trees, they lied. They don't know that you are the tree. You are the source. So how much are you watering it, right? How much are you pruning it to go ahead and actually flourish and grow properly? And so when I think about building your business, I don't ever even look at a business first. I look at, who are you? What are you doing on a daily basis to stay consistent with your commitments and your self-promises? Because it's simple. Your values, your consistency to your daily empowering habits will then create the environment you want, will then create the business that you want. Your business, your brand cannot outgrow you. Your brand cannot outgrow you. So stop trying to always work on the business and forget about the most important person in your life. The most impactful conversation you could have is not with your clients. It's not with your husband, not with your wife. It's not with your mom and dad. The most impactful conversation that you can have on a daily basis that's going to drive every other area of your life into the highest level is the one you have with yourself. So I challenge you, what kind of conversations are you having with yourself? Because if those things of self-doubt keep coming in, you have to create this process to say, I see you, but you no longer align with my vision. And here's another thing, Henry. People think they can get rid of limited beliefs. People think they can get rid of limiting beliefs. You can't get rid of limiting beliefs. What you can do is you could utilize those limiting beliefs to trigger you into action on an empowering belief, an empowering habit to slowly start to rewire.
How do you do that real quick?
Yeah, it's a great question. And they need to realize it's been, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years that they've had this negative thought in their mind, right? Every time they want to do something, this negative thought keeps coming in and keeps coming in. So the way your brain works is the more it fires, the more it wires. So it's deep ingrained into your nervous system. So the first thing that you need to do is when you see it, when you hear it, to build your belief, use that as the trigger, right? So you just, man, remember your mistakes. And instead of, oh yeah, my mistakes, I'm not going to be able to go ahead and create that business. I remember my past. No, say, thank you for showing up to ignite a new habit, to create a new thought that serves me.
Okay.
You no longer serve me, and you just repetitive and repetitive and repetitive. And another thing you do, I talked about it today on my Instagram. So many of you are like, hey, if you're going to go ahead and give me your word, keep your word. Like, my word is my bond. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I want the same from you, right? We all want that. But yet you won't do it for yourself. You won't keep the word to yourself. And the way that I truly dig deep into keeping my word is understanding that in the dark, when nobody is watching, and you decide not to make those extra dials, you decide not to take the extra step into your business, you decide not to lift the extra 2 pounds, you decide not to go the extra mile, when you decide not to do that when nobody's watching, because nobody's watching, you must realize it's the things that you do in the dark that makes you shine the brightest in the light. So I promise you think nobody's watching? The most important person is watching when you don't do those things, Henry. Yeah. That is your subconscious mind. When your subconscious mind is always there. So you think that nobody's watching? Look, the most important piece, the most important role in your life is watching your subconscious mind. You are teaching it every single day what to accept. So don't try to show up in the light like oh no, look, I'm doing everything. The lights go out and you can't even keep the promises to yourself because you cannot last that way. And the last thing I'll say about a brand and about a business is this. Many, many people that I know, and Henry, I'm sure you know, have created massive success, millions of dollars, and they lost it all. Man, think about how many lottery winners won all this money, and why is it 2 years later they all lose it? Why is it so common for people to build businesses up or get all this money and lose it like this? Simple. It's because they didn't become the person that they needed to become to A, create the success, but then B, sustain the success.
Yeah.
So working on you is the most important part of your brand. Working on you is the most important part of you creating the income. Working on you, creating that ultimate version of you on a daily basis. And guys, all it is this. Was I better today than I was yesterday? Not am I better than my competition? Not, oh man, he has that many followers. Oh, I can't believe that they get this many views. Stop judging your chapter 2 with somebody else's chapter 12 and realize if you stay on the path of 1% better today than I was yesterday, you're going to catch up to that person and fly past them. And most importantly, you will create the habits, the values, the characteristics that it will take to not only build the brand, but sustain that brand and completely change your life and everybody that's impacted around you.
Man, what a grand finale. What a grand finale. 2 things I want to add before we jet. One is one thing that I've learned from one of my online mentors, Mark Pollard, is behind every business problem is a human problem. And I'm happy that you brought that up. You said that so well just now. And when I see the business problem, I start to look past that. So what's the human problem here? Where are people getting blocked, right? Where are people getting tripped up? And then what you talked about, what you do in the dark versus, this literally happened to me 2 days ago. I'm coming down my steps and my son's shoes are literally in the middle of the floor right by the front door. And I said to myself, it's his responsibility to put those shoes where they belong. I get it, right? But if I walk past them and not just make that happen, and I'll discuss this with my son later, then you're just as bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? What are you going to walk past in business? What are you going to walk past in life? What are you going to walk past next? So I stopped, I picked up the shoes, brought them to where they belong, And then when my son woke up from his nap, he's 2.5 years old, but man, this kid is sharp. I asked him, where were the shoes? Where'd they go? Why weren't they there? Are we going to do that again? No. So anyway, long story short.
I love that, dude.
It's a perfect example of what you're talking about. There was nobody around.
Yep.
It was just me.
Yep.
I said, I could pass these shoes up and let them sit there.
Yep.
Or I could pick them up and make it happen.
Another strong thing that does, though, guys, it's not just that, he's not walking past it, but he's building a habit of holding himself to the highest standard in every area of life to create the highest results. So if you want to raise your results, you raise your standards. And so for him walking past it and seeing, oh, I could just walk over it, or I could actually build this little teeny habit that will compound into massive greatness. That's what it's about, man. There's small hinges that swing open big doors. That's just a small hinge.
That's it. And so we got one question. Let's field it, and then we'll wrap up. From Tim Lacash. I hope I pronounced that well. He said, for John, what is your favorite form of emotional self-care?
Man, I love that question, Tim. So thank you for that. So first and foremost, I get all my self-care in for the most part as soon as I wake up. See, the most important 4 hours of our day are the 2 when we wake up and then the 2 before we go to sleep. So when I wake up at 5:30 every single day, sometimes 5, when I do that, what I do is I have an intentional day. So emotional self-care, the first thing is I need to hydrate myself. Sounds crazy, right? But I need to create this hydration, and that will help me get clarity. So I'm going to give you my morning routine, which is basically my best tip for your emotional self-care. So I wake up, feet touch the ground, it's water I pound. I'm all about trigger setting up habits, right? Feet touch the ground, water I pound. Why do I do that? Detox creates energy, and you're naturally dehydrating throughout the night. So I want to make sure I get water in me. Next is when I do my shampoo, I speak in gratitude. Great for my emotional self-care. Because look, man, I can get lost in my boats, the cars, the houses. I get lost in all that. But when I could truly sit there and I could say, I'm so grateful for this water that's coming out of the faucet that's hot, because I remember a day when that wasn't there. Or, if I can't see it, here's the trick though, guys. If I can't see what I'm grateful for and I can't feel it, you must stop in that moment and get more description. Let me give you an example. So if I say I'm grateful for my daughter, if I can't see her and feel that emotion and joy, I just simply stop and I say, I'm grateful for my daughter and her beautiful smile and how it lights up the room, even on my darkest days. And I immediately feel it. I see it. And I'm just, boom, grateful. And then I conditioner my hair, and I do the same thing for affirmations. I speak into an existence of things I want as if they already happened, right? Things I want as if they already happened. So we got feet on the ground, water I pound, gratitude, affirmations. Another thing is stillness. So stillness and meditation, get into it. 5 minutes a day, it's all you need. 5 to 10 minutes a day in stillness and meditation. And it doesn't need to be this sitting there. Look, just sit with no distractions in your own thoughts to create the centeredness. The next thing is I create movement. Emotional self-care can come from a lot when you're actually getting rid of some of the toxins by working out, right? Working out does so much for your emotional self-care. So making sure I work out 30 minutes a day. Sometimes I do 90, but make sure I get that done. The next thing I do is I listen to an audible, I read, whatever it might be, for at least 30 minutes a day. And why is that? Because I'm always trying to retrain my brain, rewire my brain into this momentum, into these new realms that I've never been in before, which will then start to dilute all the negative stuff that I've been through, all the negative things that I used to think, right? So when I read these things, I try to let it really soak up, right? And see how I could use it for myself and my clients. So when I'm reading, I'm always thinking about how am I going to use this? And then I put it into work. And then, so when I do all that, I do that all within 2 hours of when I wake up. Here's the kicker. I don't touch my phone, right? Unless I'm listening to an audible or something, I don't touch my phone, because when you become reactive, Tim, and everybody listening, to everybody else's life, you stop being proactive in your own solutions. You become reactive to everybody's problems on Facebook, everybody's problems on the news, on your email. And you don't have time to be proactive in your own solutions. And when you do that, you create chaos. And guess what chaos does? it creates more chaos and you attract more chaos. And it doesn't have to be that way. So my emotional self-care happens every single day. Every single day. If I had to pick one of those things just to do, I don't think I could do that, because I truly believe it's the compound of it all, of that morning routine, that really creates it. Some people say, oh, just do meditation. To me, that's not going to truly create a massive emotional self-care. And here's one last thing I'm going to drop for you guys. The number one habit of the most successful people in the world, remember, I've interviewed some of the best, right? I've been on stages with them, is self-awareness with vulnerability. Hear me again. If you could activate your self-awareness with vulnerability on a daily basis to make a better decision, then you will create massive success way faster. How do I do that? I ask myself, Henry, one question often throughout the day. And that is, does this get me closer to my goals or further away? And why is that important? Because I don't always want to wake up at 5:30. I don't always want to go work out. I don't always want to do these things. I don't always want to say my gratitude. But here's something I want everybody to live by. Make decisions off of the meaning, not the mood. Make decisions off of the meaning, not the mood. So put meaning behind the mundane. Put meaning behind why you work out. Put meaning why you do the affirmations. Because people want to be consistent. Like, oh, how do I stay consistent? Simple, right? Without a strong why, your consistency will die. Yeah. And so figure out a meaning behind everything you do to create the emotion to make it make sense for you, because awareness and action equals transformation.
Woo! My man. John, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was huge. This was awesome. I'm so happy that I was able to connect with you at this level. Bro, this can't be the first and last conversation and connection here. I would love to be on your show. I think your show is amazing. I was listening to a few episodes before. Where can people find you? Where can people learn more about what it is that you do?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And 100%. We're definitely going to get you on the show and get things rocking for you. So you can find me on Instagram is the best place. And that's going to be at Real John Marrone, at Real John Marrone. It's Marrone. If you're watching this, you might see it on the bottom of the screen. So yeah, follow me on IG. What I highly suggest is you send me a message. I want to hear about your story, see if there's a way I could help you and add value to you. Also go to johnmarrone.com if you're looking for coaching levels, if you're looking for a speaker for your event, whatever it might be. johnmarrone.com has all that information. Last but not least, obviously you're into podcasts. You're listening to my man Henry's right now. So all podcast platforms, go check out Power of Progression, where I've had people on like, Trent Shelton, Eric Thomas, Lisa Bilyeu, Emily Frisella, bunch of single episodes. I'll have my man Henry on here shortly. But it's all about how to be better today than you were yesterday with actionable tools. So at Real John Marrone on Instagram, johnmarrone.com, or you can go ahead and check out the podcast, Power of Progression.
Love it, dude. John, thanks so much for coming on the show today and talking about self-doubt and how to handle this and how to move forward with your goals and your vision and your mission. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, it comes down to doing. If you apply one or two things that John talked about today, I can promise you that self-doubt is going to minimize itself, and you're going to be able to get to where you want to be a hell of a lot faster than what you're doing right now. So go ahead and re-listen to this if you have to, or re-watch this if you have to, and pick out one or two nuggets and start there. Like John said, it's all about the do. And when you put a big enough reason behind what it is you're doing, that's what's really going to move the needle. So have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care. Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminsky Jr. again, and really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one console call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.